The United States is drowning in debt. Our national debt has soared to an unfathomable $36 trillion, a figure so large it's almost impossible to comprehend. This is not merely a statistic, it is a flashing red alert, a clear and present danger to our nation's future. This debt isn't just a number on a screen, it represents the financial burden that will be passed down to future generations. Imagine the weight of this debt on our children and grandchildren, who will be forced to bear the consequences of our fiscal irresponsibility. Some argue that a balanced budget is achievable. They believe that current efforts will shrink the government. They are wrong. The truth is far more alarming. Our government is addicted to spending, and its appetite is insatiable. This is not a partisan issue. It is a matter of basic economics. You cannot spend more than you earn indefinitely, and the same holds true for governments. Yet, that is precisely what our government has been doing for decades, racking up trillions upon trillions of dollars in debt that we have no way of repaying. The consequences of this reckless spending will be dire. We are on the precipice of a fiscal crisis unlike anything our nation has ever seen. The economic stability of our country is at risk, and the potential fallout could be catastrophic. Imagine a future where the government can no longer afford to provide essential services, where Social Security checks bounce, and where the value of the dollar plummets. This is not a distant dystopian scenario. It is a very real possibility if we do not take immediate action. Our leaders must recognize the severity of this issue and work together to find sustainable solutions. This will require difficult decisions and sacrifices, but it is the only way to secure a stable financial future for our nation. We must hold our elected officials accountable and demand fiscal responsibility. The time for complacency is over, the stakes are too high and the cost of inaction is too great. It is up to us, the citizens, to push for change. We must advocate for policies that promote economic stability and ensure that our government lives within its means. The future of our nation depends on it. We cannot afford to ignore this issue any longer. The time to act is now, before it is too late. The consequences of this reckless spending will be dire. We are on the precipice of a fiscal crisis unlike anything our nation has ever seen. We are on the precipice of a fiscal crisis unlike anything our nation has ever seen. The time to act is now, before it is too late. Many politicians and economists assure us that the situation is under control. They speak of managing the debt and implementing fiscal responsibility. Do not be fooled by their empty promises. They are either lying or deluding themselves. The reality is that our government has become a behemoth, a sprawling bureaucracy that consumes ever-increasing amounts of taxpayer money. The so-called deep state and powerful lobbying groups exert tremendous pressure against any attempt to reduce spending. They have a vested interest in maintaining the status quo, a system that benefits them at the expense of the American people. Every attempt to rein in spending is met with fierce resistance. Budgets are proposed, debated, and ultimately ignored. The spending continues and the debt grows larger. To understand how we arrived at this perilous juncture, we must revisit a pivotal moment in our nation's economic history, 1971, when President Nixon severed the dollar's link to gold. This reckless decision unleashed a torrent of fiat currency, untethered to any tangible asset. The result? A precipitous decline in the value of the dollar, estimated at a staggering 97% since then. This detachment from the gold standard has had catastrophic consequences. It has fueled inflation, eroded purchasing power, and encouraged reckless spending. It has allowed the government to print money at will, financing its profligacy on the backs of hardworking Americans. This is nothing short of a silent theft, a transfer of wealth from the people to the government. The consequences of this fiscal irresponsibility are evident in the rampant waste and fraud that permeate every level of government. Consider, for instance, the Social Security Administration, an agency riddled with inefficiencies and outright corruption. Reports have surfaced of individuals purportedly over 200 years old receiving Social Security benefits. This is not an isolated incident but a symptom of a systemic problem. The Federal Reserve, with its ability to create money out of thin air, enables this reckless spending. It allows the government to operate with a blank check unaccountable to the taxpayers who ultimately foot the bill. This inflation tax disproportionately harms the poor and middle class, eroding their savings and diminishing their purchasing power. Section 5, USAID, a conduit for corruption. The United States Agency for International Development, or USAID, is another glaring example of government waste and overreach. This organization, ostensibly dedicated to providing foreign aid, has become embroiled in scandal, accused of funding questionable NGOs involved in activities ranging from regime change operations to sex trafficking. The level of fraud within USAID is shocking. Billions of taxpayer dollars have been squandered on projects that have failed to deliver on their promises, often lining the pockets of corrupt foreign officials and enriching private contractors. This is not foreign aid, it is a slush fund for global interventionism and crony capitalism. Section 6. Restoring Fiscal Sanity, a Roadmap. The path to restoring fiscal sanity is clear. We must drastically reduce the size and scope of government. A good starting point would be to cut government spending by at least 80%, eliminating unnecessary programs and agencies. This includes shutting down the Department of Education, a bureaucratic behemoth that has failed to improve educational outcomes. We must also end the welfare state, not overnight, but through a carefully managed transition that empowers individuals to become self-sufficient. This means reforming entitlement programs like Social Security and Medicare, which are on an unsustainable trajectory. Section 7. A call for constitutional adherence. Furthermore, we must end our interventionist foreign policy and bring all our troops home. The trillions of dollars wasted on foreign wars could be better spent addressing pressing domestic needs. This shift in priorities requires a fundamental realignment of our foreign policy, guided by the principles of non-interventionism and peace. Above all, we must return to the principles enshrined in the Constitution, particularly Article 1, Section 8, which enumerates the limited powers granted to the federal government. The 10th Amendment further clarifies that any powers not explicitly delegated to the federal government are reserved for the states or the people. We have strayed far from these founding principles, and the consequences have been disastrous. Section 8. Reaching the masses. Musk, Trump, and the power of ideas. The fight for liberty is not confined to the halls of Congress or the pages of academic journals. It extends far beyond these traditional arenas, permeating every aspect of our daily lives. From the bustling streets filled with protesters advocating for their rights to the quiet corners of libraries where academic journals are pored over, the battle for freedom is omnipresent. It is a battle for hearts and minds, a struggle to awaken the American people to the dangers of unchecked government power and the virtues of individual liberty. This struggle is not just about policy, but about changing the very way people think and feel about their role in society. It involves engaging in meaningful conversations, public speaking, and even the simple act of reading a newspaper. In this digital age, we have unprecedented opportunities to reach a wider audience. The advent of social media and digital marketing has revolutionized the way we communicate, allowing us to bypass traditional gatekeepers and speak directly to the public. This has opened up new avenues for spreading the message of liberty and individual rights. Elon Musk, with his massive online following, has proven to be a valuable ally in this endeavor. His influence extends far beyond the tech industry, reaching millions of people who look to him for inspiration and guidance. By leveraging his platform, Musk has been able to amplify messages that might otherwise have been drowned out in the noise of the digital world. His decision to repost my content on social media has amplified our message, exposing millions to the principles of sound money, limited government, and individual liberty. This kind of exposure is invaluable in a time when information is abundant but attention is scarce. It helps to cut through the clutter and reach people who are hungry for ideas that challenge the status quo. While I have not had direct communication with President Trump, his populist message resonated with many who feel left behind by the political establishment. His ability to connect with a broad base of supporters has shown that there is a significant portion of the population that is eager for change. This underscores the importance of reaching out to diverse audiences and finding common ground in the pursuit of liberty and justice for all. Section 9. The Path Forward. Education and the Embrace of Liberty. In this chapter, we delve into the crucial role that education plays in fostering a society that values and upholds the principles of liberty. Education is not just about imparting knowledge, it is about shaping minds and nurturing the spirit of freedom. The path forward is clear. It is paved with the efforts of those who dare to dream of a better future, one where liberty is cherished and protected. We must educate our fellow citizens about the principles of liberty, ensuring that they understand the foundational values that our nation was built upon. We must also highlight the dangers of government overreach, which can stifle individual freedoms and erode the very fabric of our society. Additionally, the importance of sound money cannot be overstated. A stable and honest financial system is the backbone of a free and prosperous society. We must engage in open and honest dialogue, fostering an environment where diverse opinions can be shared and debated respectfully. This means challenging the prevailing narratives that have led us down this dangerous path, questioning the status quo and seeking the truth. This is not a task for the faint of heart. It requires courage, conviction, and a willingness to stand up for what is right, even in the face of adversity. We must have an unwavering belief in the power of ideas to change the world. Ideas are the seeds from which revolutions grow, but the stakes are too high to remain silent. Our silence would be a betrayal to the generations that fought for the freedoms we enjoy today. The future of our republic hangs in the balance. It is our duty to ensure that the principles of liberty are preserved for future generations. Let us embrace the principles of liberty, coming together as one nation, united in our pursuit of freedom and justice for all. And let us work tirelessly to restore our nation to its rightful place as a beacon of freedom and prosperity, a shining example for the world to follow.
So hit that subscribe button, ring the bell for notifications, and let's turn the page on a new adventure together. Get ready to experience books like never before, only on VBook 360. Like, comment, and share to support the channel and keep the video magic alive. Thank you for stopping by. And remember, every video has a story, and every story deserves to be shared. See you in the next video.